got two. 1-1. Chicharito. Chicharito. I think I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna do that. Then no, do I want to do that? I'm gonna do respect. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I want to do like. What is this? Mhm. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm. The later stages. Damn. Like, bruh. I was like, where are they? Well, so he's 19, 17. 6'2", 6'3". God damn. I was about to say, I butchered his name. A little bit of a copy, bro. CDs. And, I might as well for Joel. I bet. Be like. And the chances of us getting injured is fucking slim, bro. Yeah, that boy injured some. He's already going to Real Madrid, yeah. Mm. Bro, okay. Hold on. I be. Young guys transfer. I doubt it would get half. The oh, this guy right there. Oh, this guy right there. I'll be spotting here. Scared. I bet. I don't know about these. It's more the center. Nah, no, no, no, no, no, no, no. It's right-footed. Most likely I'm gonna have him playing the attacking mid. That's an inside forward. Support. Additional focus. See if I need him to play shots, play some more ball playing. That's a defend? I think it was defend I'm gonna play with. That's defend. Maybe defend. I'll do that. Close ball. David, run. Additional focus. Fullback. And that's it. Type of position. What the? Oh no, not wingback. Ted. Probably same thing. Attacking movement. I'll do the same thing with the passing. Oh my god. 32. I don't know why I thought he was like 30 something. Is it defend? But I be forgetting this shit, bro. It was defend. Center, ball playing, defender, defend, additional focus. I ain't gonna lie. You already have a wonder career in this team. But see my oh damn this dude. So what Ronaldo, man? See me gone. Yeah, he is. That's crazy. He went to Saudi that young. I was like, I know that name sounds familiar. Hey, I'm on the left attacking. That's my inside forward support. Wow. Support. Additional focus. Just agility and quickness. Nah. Deep passing. That's our main goalkeeper. Is it attacking or support? I think it was support. Support. Okay, that's for shooter. I know his shooting's pretty good early, but the same thing when I put Sesko. One is essential. I'm putting it into. Ooh, I'm gonna check Sesko stuff now. So Sesko is gonna be our pressing. Yeah, he's gonna be our pressing. I'll change that to. Okay, I'll just leave that to the data. Defensive mid support. Endurance. Trade. Play short passes. Support. Play short passes. Anything I'll put in there. Play shooting. Play some shots. Endurance. I'll put it. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. Just put it. I pinned up, yeah. Oh, almost on it. It's the right side. It's gonna be the right side. It's gonna be just pretty much like 2 months. 4 months? Damn. Saudi, right? Oh, nah. We're predicted to be third.
rates were shown that children as young as 8 years old were employed by Indonesian tobacco giants without hand protection, leading to them developing acute nicotine poisoning. Symptoms include dizziness, headaches, and vomiting. The investigation also found that the children working in the fields earned between 10,000 to 15,000 rupiah, equivalent to 73 cents to $1.10 for working 7 hours a day. The chairman of the Indonesian Tobacco Farmers Association, Sosenso, responded to the investigation by telling Reuters that the report risked generalizing the whole of Indonesia and that some children worked in non-hazardous conditions. Not since someone at Mola Studios decided that there was an appetite for Dean Saunders' Soccer SOS has anyone so spectacularly misread the room. Joram didn't respond to Reuters' request for a comment. Though fueled by addiction and the rapid rise of the company's tobacco division, Joram has since diversified into food technology and banking. After the 1997 Asian financial crisis, Joram led a consortium to take over Bank Central Asia, or BCA. Joram still owns 54.94% of BCA, which is the largest private bank in Indonesia. Joram also owns Bakmi, one of Indonesia's largest restaurant chains, Sarana Banana Nusantara, Indonesia's second largest telecom company, and Blibli, one of the country's biggest and fastest growing e-commerce platforms, among many others. It is unclear, publicly at least, whether either of the Hartano brothers have attended a Como game during their more than 6 years owning the club, but other members of the family certainly have. Pictured here is the rarely sighted Gio Hartano, Robert Budi Hartano's wife, about whom very little is known, and that is Roberto Hartano, one of Michael Bambang Hartano's 2 sons, who is the COO of Polytron, another one of Joram's companies, having previously spent more than 8 years working for Joram in Human Resources. The family are reported to stay at the Mandarin Oriental in nearby Levio when they visit, where even the cheapest rooms will set you back a few €1,000s a night. And that is why you need the children harvesting the tobacco to only be paid $1 a day and not have any gloves. Otherwise, you might only be able to stay in the cheapest room in the Mandarin Oriental when, let's be honest, any self-respecting billionaire heir wants a swint. It is precisely these types of luxury tourists, perhaps not quite as rich as the Hartano family, who are the 5th richest in all of Asia, that Como 1907 are attempting to appeal to. Here again, though, there is an internal contradiction and tension, at least between different departments within the club. Thierry Henry emphasised the importance of appealing to locals when he spoke to The Athletic in 2024, stating, quote, "Como is going to have to stay Como," and adding, "At times, football clubs are not football clubs anymore, they're companies." End quote. Henry was countering the perception of Como as being a destination exclusive to the rich, pointing out, quite rightly, that not all locals are as affluent as the city's millions of annual visitors, and that the club should primarily be catered to them. That is almost diametrically opposed to the vision of the club laid out by Como president Mervan Subarso, who, when speaking to Calcio Esperanza earlier this year, not only likened Como to Disney, the football division to a theme park, and stated that it was purely coincidental that Joram had bought Como as opposed to any other club, he also said, quote, "If we do things the right way, 60% of our new audience will come from tourists who suddenly discover that there's a football club here. If they visit for the first time and we play a low block and in a boring way, they will never be interested in Como. Our goal as a company is to become the world's leading football tourism destination. If you want to be a premium football tourism destination, then the football itself needs to be fun and exciting." End quote. It is difficult to square Henry's comments that Como must principally serve the local community and supporters with Subarso's that the club's main goal is to become the world's leading football tourism destination with a focus on, quote, premium football tourism, and see how those two visions aren't in conflict. Right now, as Como look to develop and expand their stadium in conjunction with the local municipality who own the ground, it feels as though the Curva Como, home to Como's Ultras, has almost become part of the tourist attraction. The Como Ultras, reminiscent of what we see in a lot of clubs, but on a more emphatic scale, are like some kind of exhibit in a museum for wealthy visitors to Lake Como to gawk at and record for their Instagram stories. When asked about his plans for the redevelopment of Como Stadium, Subarso commented, quote, football must be secondary. He was referring to the fact that the club wants a multi-purpose stadium capable of staging events and generating revenue all year round, but it was a telling comment. The Hartono brothers are reportedly dispassionate about football. Their favourite sport is badminton, where they own a successful club in Indonesia. Meanwhile, Savasa appears to have a laser-like focus on the club's business operations, commercial opportunities and growth potential, as well as posting about 15 times a day on Instagram. Honestly, I've never seen a person who posts this much on Instagram. I could have watched an entire episode of Dean Saunders Soccer SMS in the time that it took me to scroll back to when Savasa became involved with Como, and that would have only been a slightly worse use of my time. Savasa, who describes football as being only one of 8 divisions of Como, a football club, it is worth remembering, saw its vision put further into action last week with the launch of Scent Tourism, the latest addition to the Scent Entertainment Group, which already includes Mola Studios, Mola Records, Mola Chill Drinks, whose website is still under construction but who appear to be a CBD drinks brand, Como TV and Como Football. Scent Tourism will sell luxury package holidays, which include accommodation, travel tours, and VIP and hospitality packages for Como matches. Savasso stated, quote, "Our goal is to position Como 1907 as the heartbeat of luxury football travel. We're not just hosting fans, we're inviting the world to live football through the lens of Como, stylish, soulful, and uniquely Italian." Thank you. Except, you're not uniquely Italian if 60% of the crowd are rich tourists, are you? You know, sort of by definition. You are, if anything, at least within the context of Italian football, uniquely un-Italian. Maybe that would make for a better marketing slogan. Prices for Como's hospitality packages this season already started at €150, and VIP packages at €490. It seems likely that will increase through the creation of Scent Tourism next season. Como have also launched 2 sets of summer camps tailored to 15 to 18 and 11 to 13-year-olds. The 15 to 18-year-old elite camp is priced at €8,500 for 2 weeks. That doesn't include any travel expenses, of course. And the 11 to 13-year-old discovery camp is priced at €2,500 for a week. The players' accommodation is the Hotel Gardenia Fiera, a 3-star hotel 25 minutes south of Como, where rooms cost less than €100 a night. The Como camps appear to be targeted primarily at Americans, with the coaching and training sessions being conducted in English, probably in a uniquely Italian way. The coach might be speaking English, but he's still gesturing so wildly with his hands that you just know that you're getting an authentic, uniquely Italian experience. Como have also launched the pre-season Como Cup, an annual 5-day tournament this year contested by their hosts Celtic, Ajax and Asian champions Al Ahly, and before you asked, yes, of course, travel packages will be available soon, including 5-star luxury hotels and curated experiences with a platinum package, comfortable 4-star hotels in prime locations with the gold package, and value-driven 4-star options in Como, focused on easy access and affordability for the absolute peasants, scum, and real dregs of the earth who purchase a fans and supporters package. Another one of Savasso's 8 divisions is merchandising, and, again, Como have bold ambitions. The club have appointed fashion designer Luigi Villasenor as their chief brand officer, launching a collaborative project at Como's famous Villa d'Este residence. Born in the Philippines but raised in California, Villasenor founded the Los Angeles fashion brand Rude, which takes classic streetwear themes and reinvents them, using high-quality materials and composition, and, a bucket hat costs £363. Como wore a kit designed in collaboration with their chief brand officer's company Rude in their final game of the season, which has sold out on the Como Club shop, despite being priced at a fairly hefty €275. Fortunately for Como, and unlike at a lot of other clubs, Savasso knows not to intervene with the sporting side of the club's operations, where the club have appointed seasoned and capable operators who probably don't view the club as being like a theme park, although after Como signed former Tottenham star Dele Alli on an 18-month deal in January, Savasso did comment that Villasenor was, quote, Also talking with our latest signing, Dele, who is a huge fashion enthusiast. They're working on something together as well. Main quotes. Ali has so far made one appearance for Como against AC Milan, in which he came on as a substitute in the 81st minute and was sent off 10 minutes later for a tackle on fellow Englishman Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Como had lost over €80 million over the last 4 years, and, most likely, greater losses still this season in light of their spending and recruitment. Nonetheless, they have enjoyed a rapid rise, and European qualification in the next few years now seems like a vital ambition. Savasso, unsurprisingly, doesn't talk in terms of football ambitions but business ones, stating, quote, "We don't set specific sporting targets. We try not to think that way. We view everything in terms of profitability. If we manage the budget correctly and keep it within a sustainable level, we believe we can be profitable within 2 to 3 years." End quotes. His stated ambition between all 8 divisions, one of which presumably is a CBD drink, is to turn Como into a €1 billion valuation football club, of which there are only currently 3 in Italy and 17 in the world. My ambition is just to never have to hear about Dean Saunders Soccer SOS ever again. This video is very long, and I apologise for that, but to you, the viewer, and also to my girlfriend, for spoiling what ought to be a perfectly nice evening eating Chinese food, because I got lost down a rabbit hole of subsidiaries of Indonesia's largest conglomerates. Again. But there are loads of videos and articles about Como since 2019, where the presenter or author basically spends 10 minutes going, "Wow, they're so rich. Look how much money they've got. They probably buy loads of players now." Cesc Fabregas is the manager, by the way. He used to play for Chelsea. Basically, what I did in the intro to reel you in, before bombarding you with statistics about preventable deaths caused by tobacco. But I don't find that very interesting, and I am hopeful that I've created an audience who also would. If those people haven't been weeded out by the 10-minute intros and 20-minute tangents at this stage, I'm really not sure what more I can do. This is, undoubtedly in my view, and I am extremely honest, the most comprehensive account of Como's ownership, their strategy, and the club's internal contradictions, at least in the English language. And if you appreciate stuff like that, why not consider becoming a channel member, either via the Alfie Potts on the YouTube channel, or Pep Guardiola joined Manchester City almost exactly 9 years ago. Since then, the Catalan has won 6 Premier League titles, 4 EFL Cups, 2 FA Cups, and a UEFA Champions League. He's also guided the citizens to English football's first ever domestic travel, the country's first ever 100-plus point top-flight season, and made England's first team to win 4 straight top-flight league titles. On the balance of things then, it has been reasonably successful. Guardiola has now managed more games at Man City than he did at Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and even Barca B Combat. During that time, Man City have had a net spend of over €1 billion, an overall transfer expenditure of nearly €1.9 billion, the second and third highest figures in all of world football respectively over that period, in addition to amassing the highest wage bill in the entire history of the Premier League. The citizens have also been hit with 115 charges by the Premier League on Best Watch, relating to alleged offences between the 2009-10 and 2022-23 seasons, 7 of which fall within Guardiola's time at the helm, but the outcome of which we are still awaiting. Heading into Pep's 10th season in charge now, Kevin De Bruyne's departure means that there isn't a single first-team player from when Guardiola first arrived at the Etihad who is still at the club. Phil Foden, Rico Lewis, James McAtee and Nico O'Reilly were already at Man City, but they were academy players who hadn't yet made their first-team debuts. But what about Guardiola's first signings at the Etihad? Well, it just so happens that Pep signed exactly 7 players in his first summer in charge. So a couple of months on from taking a look at Jurgen Klopp's first 7 signings to Liverpool and where those players are now, I thought that it might be interesting to do the same with Guardiola. If you disagree, this really isn't the video for you, but I'm not sure why you clicked on it. I was very clear what this video would be about in both the title and the thumbnail. At the end, it might even be interesting to take a look at Klopp and Guardiola's first 7 Liverpool and Man City signings side by side and see how the two compare. I know, right? I'm a madman. Without further ado then, Pep Guardiola has never expressed any interest in signing whatsoever for some reason. Here are those first 7 signings of Man City and where those players are now. 7. İlkay Gündoğan, Manchester City. One of 2 players signed by Man City on the opening day of the 2016 summer transfer window, thus making them their joint first signings at the Etihad. İlkay Gündoğan is still at Man City at the time of recording, but possibly not for long. Although Guardiola only officially took charge of Man City in the summer, he'd already agreed to replace Manuel Pellegrini at the beginning of February 2016, and he was reportedly heavily involved in Gündoğan's summer. Arrival of Guardiola as at Bayern Munich for the preceding 3 years, Gündoğan recovered from what looked to be a career-threatening injury at one stage at Borussia Dortmund to become one of the standout midfielders in the Bundesliga again. It was a compression of Gündoğan's spine that ruled him out for more than 14 months, but Dortmund illustrated a show of faith in him by handing the former European man a new 2-year deal during this time. Previously sought after by Real Madrid, who had a bid for a young Gündoğan rejected, by the summer of 2016, Dortmund had offers for him from both Guardiola's new club Man City and his former club Bayern Munich. Dortmund were naturally keen for Gündoğan not to join their biggest title rivals. Meanwhile, the player himself said that Guardiola, Ferran Soriano, and Chiqui Maguire were key to him opting to making a move to the Premier League. So aligned at the time with a dislocated kneecap, which caused him to miss Euro 2016, Gündoğan tore his ACL 3 months after making his return, restricting him to just 10 Premier League appearances during his debut campaign. Signed for roughly £20 million on a 4-year deal, there were fears at the time that Gündoğan's injury problems could become a major issue long-term. Following his return, however, Gündoğan became one of the most consistent and consistently available players, not just in Man City but in the English game, averaging 48 games a season for the next 5 seasons and racking up more than 300 appearances for the club in total. Gündoğan left Man City in the summer of 2023, joining Barcelona on a free transfer, but after a single season at the Camp Nou, Gündoğan was allowed to rejoin the citizens free of charge, as Barcelona looked to cut their wage bill and receive permission to register new players. Gündoğan played 51 games for Man City last season, taking him up to 16th in the club's all-time appearance charts, above the likes of Joe Hart and Carl Walker, and just 5 games behind Vincent Kompany. Neither Gündoğan nor Guardiola probably expected him to play quite so many games last season, but owing to poor form and injuries at various stages throughout what was a rare off-season for Pep at the Etihad, he felt as though he needed all of Gündoğan's ability and experience on the pitch at almost all times. Now linked with an exit from the Etihad, age 34, following the arrivals of Ryan Cherki and Gary Reinders, when asked about Gündoğan's potential departure, Pep Guardiola responded by saying that he is still a part of his plans, but that they do need to cut the size of the squad, which hardly sounds like a ringing endorsement. Gündoğan has been linked with Galatasaray, who reportedly attempted to sign him last January. Gündoğan's single season back at the Etihad was a bit of a forgettable one, at least by Man City's recent standards, but his legacy at the club remains practically beyond reproach. One of Man City's 10 greatest players of all time, Gündoğan was integral in a run of 5 Premier League titles in 6 seasons, and he even turned into a spectacular false 9 and led City scoring charts in the 2020-21 double-winning season with 17 goals. A pretty good first signing. 6. Nolito, retired. The second signing on the opening day of Pep Guardiola's first transfer window in charge of Man City, it would be fair to say that Nolito's contribution over the coming years was a little bit less significant than İlkay Gündoğan's. Signed for a fairly modest £13.8 million from Celta Vigo, Pep knew Nolito well from their time together at Barcelona. With young and inexperienced wingers at the club at the time, it made sense for Guardiola to bring in a more experienced 29-year-old who was familiar with his system and didn't cost the owner. In fact, Nolito even made a fairly brave start, starting 4 out of the club's 5 league games of the season, scoring a brace against Stoke in the game where he was introduced on the bench, and scoring goals against Celtic and Stamford Forest in the Champions League. 4 minutes from time in the 5th league game of the season, though, Nolito received a really stupid red card for a failed haircut on Bournemouth's Aaron Smith, and from there, his Man City career never really recovered. The growing reputations and performance levels of both Leroy Sané and Raheem Sterling didn't help, but Nolito blamed the poor weather for his poor form and difficulty adjusting to life in the Premier League. At the end of his debut campaign, in which Nolito only made 19 Premier League appearances, he claimed that his daughter's face had changed colour because of the cold, and that it, quotes, looks like she's been living in a cave. Quotes. In fairness, England, and Manchester in particular, are renowned for their glorious sunshine and only very occasional rainy days, so there really was no way to know what it would be like in advance. To make matters worse still, Nolito had turned down the return to Barcelona in order to join Man City, citing his personal relationship with Guardiola and the desire to play under him as his primary motive. So after a single season where he reported £7.9 million, Nolito joined Sevilla, one of the hottest and driest cities in Europe, where he spent the next 3 seasons, and one could only hope his daughter managed to get some much-needed colour back into her face. Nolito rejoined Celta Vigo in the summer of 2020, where he spent the next 2 seasons, before joining Ibiza, again, great weather to be back to him, for a single season in the Segunda Division. Nolito hung in his boots after suffering relegation at Ibiza, aged 36. Despite what was an underwhelming spell overall, Nolito still holds the record for the fastest goal ever scored by Man City player as a substitute, having scored just 52 seconds after his introduction in a 1-1 draw without. Alexander Zinchenko, Arsenal. A very low profile, and indeed low-cost signing by Man City, Alexander Zinchenko joined the club for a reported £1.7 million on the 4th day of the summer transfer window. Signed from Ufa in the Russian Premier League, Zinchenko didn't actually play for Man City during his debut campaign, instead joining PSV on loan. Billed as a versatile midfielder upon his arrival, Zinchenko played primarily on the right wing or as a number 10 from Ufa, and in central midfield for PSV. Pep Guardiola found a new home for Zinchenko on left back, just as he had done with fellow midfielder Fabien Delph, initially as an emergency move, owing to injuries to both Delph and Benjamin Mendy, but that is where Zinchenko ended up making all but 12 of his 128 appearances at the Etihad. Never nailed on, Zinchenko failed to make more than 20 Premier League appearances in a single season, but he was an excellent signing nonetheless. A very capable deputy who followed Guardiola's every instruction when called upon, Zinchenko cost next to nothing. He won 10 trophies in 5 seasons, and then he was sold on to Arsenal for a chunky £30 to £32 million fee, subject to hours. An integral part of Guardiola's former assistant Mikel Arteta's plans during his first 2 seasons at Arsenal, Zinchenko fell out of favour in the season just gone, losing his place to Ricardo Calafiori when fit, and, latterly, a young Miles Lewis scamp. Now linked with a move away from the Emirates as a result, Zinchenko has been linked with the likes of Borussia Dortmund, AC Milan, and West Ham United. Now entering into the final year of his deal, it's reported that Arsenal may have to settle for a fee about a third of the size of what they paid for Zinchenko, or risk losing him in 12 months' time for nothing. 4. Leroy Sané, Galatasaray. The second most expensive signing of Pep Guardiola's first season in charge of Man City, Leroy Sané ran for a reported fee of £37 million from Schalke, rising to £46.5 million, subject to hours. One of the most highly regarded young players in Europe, Sané warned that it might take him some time to adjust to the Premier League as a 20-year-old, but it soon became clear just what a special talent he was. Part of the Germany squad that reached the semi-finals of that season's Euros, Sané's starter life at Man City was disrupted by injuries, but he bounced back to score 9 goals and make 7 assists in 37 appearances. His second season would be even better still. He scored 14 goals and made 19 assists in all competitions, as Man City won a Premier League and EFL Cup double, and Sané won the Premier League Young Player of the Year. Still aged only 21 to 22 at the time, Sané looked like a potential future Ballon d'Or winner, and his numbers were actually even more impressive the following season, in which he scored 16 goals and made 18 assists. Owing to the loss of Franck Ribéry and Ian Robben, who both departed in the summer of 2019, Bayern Munich were constantly linked with Sané. At the time, it was reported that Man City were demanding a fee of £140 million, and that Bayern, unsurprisingly, we're trying to get that price down. 17 minutes into the Community Shield, however, English football season opener, Sane damaged his ACL, ruling him out for the rest of the season. The relationship between Guardiola and Sane was already reported to have become fractured, owing to Sane's view that Pep had failed to support him after he had been left out of Germany's 2018 World Cup squad, and frustrations on Pep's part, owing to a perceived lack of professionalism on occasion. Following his fourth season at the Etihad, in which he only made 2 appearances owing to injuries, Guardiola revealed that Sane had rejected a contract extension at the City, and that he wanted to leave the club. The Citizens threatened to run down Sane's contract as he headed into the final year of his deal, but in the end, Bayern made an offer worth a reported €45 million, rising to 60 million subject to add-ons, which was enough to change their mind. Over the next 5 years, Sane scored 61 goals and made 55 assists in a very successful Bayern Munich team, but it never really felt like it kicked on from those 2 wondrous seasons under Guardiola in his early 20s. Occasionally brilliant, but often frustrating in Bavaria, where his decision-making in the final third was frequently called into question, Sane rejected a contract offer at the Allianz Arena last month, with his contract on the verge of expiring, in what felt a bit like deja vu of 5 years ago. Though Sane is featured for Bayern Munich in the ongoing Club World Cup in the United States, he has already agreed to join Galatasaray on a free transfer next week. It's a move which has come as a surprise to a lot of people, myself included, owing to Sane's undoubted talent and the fact that he is still only 29, but it has also since been revealed that he will earn a reported €12 million a season in Istanbul. That is over €230,000 a week, guaranteed, for the next 3 years, and perhaps goes some way towards explaining the move. I mean, arguably, it goes the full way, doesn't it? Sane's time at Bayern will be remembered for his 4 Bundesliga titles, a vintage display in a 4-3 win against Manchester United, and that time when Sadio Mane was suspended for slapping him in the face. Maybe Sane questioned how a 31-year-old had been in a, quote, long-term relationship with a 19-year-old. Who knows? I mean, really, we can only speculate. Third, Carlos Moreno, Tenerife. A Man City signing who I would wager about 90% of football fans, and even a substantial portion of Man City fans don't remember them ever signing, Carlos Moreno was technically Pep Guardiola's 5th signing at the Etihad. Brought in from Colombian outfit Atlético Nacional for a reported fee of £4.75 million, Moreno, like Alexander Zinchenko, was immediately sent out on loan. Unlike Zinchenko, that wouldn't provide a springboard to first-team football for Moreno at the Etihad, just a load more loan moves, and I really didn't mean a load more. Following a season with Deportivo La Coruña, Moreno joined Girona, Flamengo, Santos Laguna, Portimonense, Lommel, and Corpray, going out on loan to 7 clubs in 5 countries and 3 different continents in 6 years. 2 of the clubs that Moreno joined on loan, Girona and Lommel, were also owned by the City Football Group, but he never played a single minute of football for Manchester City themselves. In 2022, Moreno joined another City Football Group owned club, Troyes, where he only made 2 appearances the following season, as Troyes were relegated from Ligue 1. Moreno joined Konyaspor in the Turkish Super League in 2023, following half the season on loan now, before moving on again at the end of the season, which Konyaspor avoided relegation by 1 point, and joining Tenerife. Great weather there, to be fair. Just ask Nolita. Age 28, Tenerife are already Moreno's 12th club, and he doesn't appear to be too much of a good luck charm. The second biggest club in the Canary Islands, Tenerife were relegated from the Segunda Division this season, dropping down into Spain's 40-team third tier, Primera Federation. It would be fair to say that Moreno isn't Guardiola's best ever signing. Arguably, he doesn't even crack the top 10. Second, John Stones, Manchester City. The most expensive signing of Pep Guardiola's last season in charge of Man City, Big John Stones had been linked with a big money move to a Big Six club ever since his debut campaign at Everton. Signed by the Toffees for only £3 million from Barnsley, Man City parted with £47.5 million to sign Stones, rising to £50 million subject to add-ons, making him the second most expensive defender of all time, behind only David Luiz. There was a lot of discourse around Stones at the time, and whether he could justify that bid. In fact, there hadn't been this much discourse around Stones since they released Some Girls in the late 70s. I apologise, that was dialogue. The narrative at the time was that Stones was good on the ball and could hit an accurate diagonal, but that he was a bit lightweight and had a propensity for making costly errors. That persisted for probably 3 or 4 seasons at Man City, in truth, as Stones played a lot of football without ever seeming nailed on. It was probably only after Vincent Kompany retired and Ruben Dias came in that Stones seemed to become a mainstay in Pet's preferred centre-back partnership for the first time, and one could argue that he played his very best football at the Etihad in the 2022-23 treble-winning season, much of which he spent playing alongside Rodri in midfield. One of the best centre-backs in the world at his best, Stones has a history of niggling injuries, and he has certainly suffered a regression in terms of minutes, impact and form since that treble-winning campaign. He was sidelined with a few injuries last season, most notably a nasty hamstring tear, which restricted him to just 11 league appearances. Stones recently revealed that he considered retiring at times over the last couple of years, but that he is back fit, feels great, and wants to stay at Man City next season. Assuming that Ilkay Gundogan does depart, Stones will become the only signing from Guardiola's first season at the club, and the longest-serving player in the club's first team. First, Claudio Bravo, sunglasses salesman. The first thing Pep Guardiola did at Man City, before he even unpacked his suitcase or shampooed his scalp, was tell Joe Hart to piss on to Turin. I want this man to be no more. Because business shut down, no one speaks to me like that. Hart had played nearly 350 games for Man City and won 4 Premier League Golden Gloves, but Guardiola took one look at him and did a little bit of sick inside of his mouth. So Hart was out, and Claudio Bravo was brought in. Signed from Barcelona, Bravo missed Guardiola's time in Catalonia by a couple of years, but he fit Pep's profile in terms of his vision and distribution. Bravo had enjoyed an excellent game against England a few years earlier, in 2013, when he not only pulled off a handful of outstanding saves, but also completely nullified England's press under Roy Hodgson through his pinpoint distribution. Formerly of Colo and Real Sociedad, that was presumably what Pep Guardiola had in mind when he signed Bravo from his former club for a reported £17 million. FDP at the time for a goalkeeper, who was already 33 years old, Bravo's distribution was pretty good at the Etihad, but under immense pressure owing to the manner in which Hart had been ousted, Bravo's actual shot-stopping, communication, and the commanding of his area left rather a lot to be desired. That is football parlance for saying he was capped. Rotated with Willy Caballero during his debut campaign, Pep dipped his toes back into the transfer market for a goalkeeper in his second summer in charge, forking out €40 million for Edison, which proved to be a much better bid. Bravo stuck around for 4 seasons at the Etihad, and, with less pressure following his debut campaign, and owing to his newfound status as a backup, he actually had some very impressive and memorable performances in the cup competitions, so all was not lost. Bravo left City for Real Betis in 2020, after his contract expired, and he retired from football following 4 more years playing in Seville, aged 41. The 42nd most capped male footballer of all time, tied with Lothar Matthäus and Michael Bradley, Bravo now runs a foundation and a training centre, specifically catered to goalkeepers in Chile, as well as a company called Parod, which sells sunglasses. At first, I thought these were some of the most expensive sunglasses in the world, priced between $50,000 to $60,000, but upon further inspection, I think that's actually Chilean pesos, which works out at about £40 to £50. Bravo had the first prototype of the Parrot sunglasses back in 2016, but the company's founding was set back because he dropped them. It was eyeglasses that he needed that season, not sunglasses. Sorry, both of those jokes were also diabolical. That is almost it for today's video, although I would add that 8 new first-team signings arrived during Pep's first season in charge, following Gabriel Jesus' arrival in January, so it would seem remiss of me not to mention him. He currently plays for Arsenal, of course, where he has been sidelined for the best part of a year, with a cruciate ligament tear. Also, Pablo Mari, Aaron Moy, Jeronimo Rulli and Yangel Herrera were technically signed by Man City during Pep's first season in charge, but they were put down as development squad signings rather than first-team arrivals, hence their omission. For what it's worth, Mari, who, like Jesus and Zinchenko, left Man City to join Arsenal, now plays for Fiorentina, Alan Moy retired a couple of years ago, aged only 32, following a season at Celtic. Geronimo Rulli is now an Argentina international and Marseille's #1, and Yangel Herrera is still part of the City Football Group ownership regime, football's equivalent of the Death Star, having joined Girona for a reported €5 million in 2023. That must have been a brutal set of negotiations. I would say that at least 4 of Pep's first 7 signings at Man City could be described as having been a fairly roaring success, which is a pretty impressive hit rate, and even among the misses, none of them were especially costly, at least relative to Man City's budget. Compared to Jurgen Klopp's first 7 signings, Marco Grujic, Steven Korka, Joel Matip, Loris Karius, Sadio Mane, Ragnar Klavan and Alex Manninger, it is clear that these two teams were operating in completely different spheres when Pep and Klopp came in, with Liverpool sat in mid-table when Klopp arrived. Meanwhile, Man City hadn't finished outside of the top 2 place in the Premier League for 4 straight seasons when Guardiola was appointed. Man City actually fell from 2nd to 4th place in Pep's debut campaign, but he ironed out a lot of the deficiencies in his squad, whether that be in goal, at full-back or indeed at centre-back, through extensive recruitment during his 2nd season at the club. Man City forked out more than €300 million that season in total, but they invested it very wisely in the likes of Kyle Walker, Bernardo Silva and Ederson, ushering in one of the most dominant eras in the history of the English game. Anyway, that's it for today's video, so thank you all very much, as ever, for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. I've made a few of these Where Are They Now videos that are a bit of a throwback to the early days of the channel recently, but sometimes I find them quite interesting still. I hope you do too, and I sincerely apologise if you don't. Hit the like button, as I say, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and make sure that you're subscribed, not only to this channel, HNCC7s, but also to this channel, but also my 2nd channel, Alfie Potsama, both of which should be about to appear on your screens now, along with a couple of videos that you might enjoy watching after this one. You can also find me on various social media platforms, usually by the username @HNCC7s, and you can now support me additionally, should you wish to do so, either via the Alfie Potsama YouTube channel, where you can become a member or leave a super chat, or via buymeacoffee.com/Alfie Potsama, where you can also do both of those things, but Google won't take 30% of it. Thank you all as ever. I will see you in the next one, but more important than any of that, I hope that you all have a sensational day. I'll see you soon. Cheers. Liverpool have long been renowned for their frugality in the transfer market. Since FSG's first summer in charge 14 years ago, the Reds have had a lower net spend than Tottenham and West Ham. Meanwhile, Manchester United, Manchester City and Chelsea all have a net spend over twice the size of theirs. It's one of the reasons why Jurgen Klopp's work at Anfield was so lauded, and why FSG have often faced criticism from Liverpool supporters, despite the team's success. Liverpool's marquee signings, whether that be Alisson, Virgil van Dijk, or Darwin Núñez, were still monumental, rivaling the biggest signings at almost any other Premier League club, but they were rare, highly targeted, and they were often facilitated by sales. Last summer, in Arne Slot's first season at Anfield, which many people expected to be a real uphill battle following the loss of Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool only made 2 new signings. Federico Chiesa from Juventus, who played a grand total of 104 minutes of Premier League football last season, and Georgi Mamachvili from Valencia, who played 0 minutes, as he remained in La Liga for all of last season as part of his transfer agreement. This summer window has seen a radical departure from that tradition. Despite comfortably winning the league in Arne Slot's first season in charge, Liverpool looks set to have the highest spending summer in the history of the club. Florian Wirtz has been brought in from Bayer Leverkusen for a club record £100 million fee, rising to £116 million subject to add-ons, the latter of which would also be a British record fee, overtaking the potential £115 million that Chelsea could end up paying for former Liverpool target Moises Caicedo, along with Leverkusen teammate Jeremy Frimpong, whose £29.5 million release clause Liverpool activated at the beginning of the window. Though not yet completed at the time of this recording, Liverpool are also expected to sign forwards Milos Kerkez for £40 million, in addition to being heavily linked with Ajax's Yoral Hato, Crystal Palace's Mark Gay, and, most notably, Newcastle's Alex Apariza, with a centre-back and centre-forward via Richard Hughes and Arne Slot's Mr. Kyle. Already the highest spending club of world football this summer, summer in terms of both net spend and overall expenditure, it seems likely that by the end of the window, Liverpool could have forked out around €400 million on new arrivals. That would more than double Liverpool's previous highest spending season, which was the 2018-19 season, in which they brought in the likes of Alisson, Naby Keita and Fabinho. It is a volte-face that has caught many onlookers, and even Liverpool fans by surprise, not least in light of Liverpool's chief finance officer Jenny Beecham, having hinted at a continued focus upon stability and spending in moderation only a few short months ago. I've had lots of messages from people on YouTube, social media, and indeed friends on group chats, who are shocked by Liverpool's spending, and who have asked me either how it is possible for them to spend so much, or why they appear to have adopted such a different strategy in terms of restraint and spending within the transfer market, which tends to be a telltale sign that I should make a video about the subject and look to monetize my well-beaten analysis, rather than giving it to them on WhatsApp for free. Bloody scroungers. So sit back, relax, and join me on a journey to Merseyside, one of my favourite counties in England, whose sport played a key role in the Atlantic slave trade. Though I should stress, it isn't one of my favourite counties for that reason. I am personally of the view that the Atlantic slave trade was a net negative, and that isn't the only hot take that you're going to get from me in this video, as we take a look at how FSG have stumbled upon a few £100 million down the back of the sofa at Anfield, why they have decided to spend it now, after comfortably winning the Premier League title, as opposed to in previous seasons, when they appear to be in more dire need of reinforcements, and what all of that means for the rest of the Premier League. As always, the how is easier to explain than the why in terms of Liverpool's sudden surge in transfer expenditure, because it requires less speculation. On the face of it, the answer to the question, how are Liverpool able to spend so much, which I have seen asked by a lot of supporters, particularly of rival clubs on social media,